growing up, small town boy, no resources, no mentors, son of a barber, oldest of 4 kids, terrible at school, C- average, taught himself to program when he was 14, first breakthrough. No mentors to speak of, bad at school, hated school, rebellious, et cetera, et cetera. Well, some people in the neighborhood found out I like computers. They'd say, hey, can you teach me how to do XYZ on my computer? Yes, I'd love to do that. It got me away from my situation. I got paid to do it, and I got to be a hero for some people. I liked that. Well, then someone else said, can you make a database? An insurance agent. Then someone said, can you write some accounting software for me? So I started honing this skill set. I'm 16 years old, 17 years old, being treated like an adult, and I got to be a little superstar for the first time in my life. Well, eventually, all I really wanted to do is write video games and play pinball, it was actually through I used to know some computer pirates. I used to pirate software, and one guy knew a guy who ran a game company. And it was a Macintosh game company. I was like, that's what I want. So he set up a meeting. I met the guy, and he said, if you want to work with us, you got to write a game. So I went home, and I taught myself how to write video games. And I wrote a game concept in 3 weeks, went to him, and I said, here it is. And he said, well, here's a job for you. And he paid me $14,000 a year. I mean, it was basically less than I was making, and I was working for slave wages at the other place. But I loved it. It's like the first time, and I'm around other game developers. No money in it, but what the hell? Well, eventually they sold the company, and here I am stuck again, and I ended up getting another job. And I started a little company called Digital Cafe. It was the first one of the first interactive marketing agencies in the world, and this is pre-web. It was back when there was CompuServe and Delphi and 300 baud modems, and it was 1200 baud by the time I got there. And I learned a lot about online stuff, and I started, I was programming more, and then all once I was interacting with someone on CompuServe, and they said, hey, do you think you can make a screensaver to promote something? And I said, yeah, we can do it. Well, it turned out it's a guy from 20th Century Fox. So I started and then all once I met someone from Sony. And once one of them heard about it, another one heard about it, and then these guys are switching jobs, going from company to company. All once they're like, can you do a CD-ROM? Yeah, we're doing the first CD-ROMs to promote movies. And eventually the first websites, when the web started, and we're putting video on websites. Well, it's like, again, we became a little legend. We became experts. So eventually sold that company, discovered internet marketing, and I knew a lot about video. I knew something about programming. I went to an internet marketing event, saw these guys on stage, and I'm like, someday I want to be speaking there too. So I walked out of there and, excited, created my first product called the Infomercial Toolkit. I wanted to know what's the secret to selling stuff with video? What's the magic bullet? What's the shiny object? And I interviewed a whole bunch of experts, one of which is Joe Sugarman, who is one of my great heroes, who sold blue blocker sunglasses, almost $1 billion worth of sunglasses on television. He became my mentor. Once he became my friend, because I was the internet video marketing guy who understood how to make internet videos, and all these old infomercial guys are like, we know our business is dying. It's too expensive nowadays. We're turning to the internet, so they're coming to me. So that was kind of interesting. Well, eventually all the internet marketers were like, we got to do this video thing. They didn't know what equipment to buy. They didn't know how to compress their stuff. They didn't know where to put it. They didn't know how to program it. I became the go-to guy for them. So, and then they asked, well, will you speak at our event? Internet marketing, this internet video stuff's getting to be pretty hot. Along the way, I developed Traffic Geyser to solve some problems. And then celebrities hear about me. So, eventually I'm working with Tony Robbins and Paula Abdul. Just been working with Brian Tracy recently and some more. And they're all like, we know we're not using video effectively. My name shows up. Authors hear the same thing. So what do? I interview them. I show them how to do it. I teach them how to do it. And they say, what can I do for you? And I say, sell my stuff. So this wasn't a short process. It took me 20 years to get to where I am.
Overnight success, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Some people would be like, you popped out of nowhere, in 6 months I see you everywhere all at once. Well, it's because I've been honing my skills, It's like I didn't know jack, but I became an expert in a little field, and now, my skill set is very much in demand and desirable and useful. But let's get back to the big question, which is, how can I do it quickly? Okay? Is there a shortcut? Well, there isn't a shortcut to learning a great skill and becoming a master at it. It's been said in the book The Outliers that it takes 10,000 hours. That's 5 years at 2,000 hours a year, which is an average work period. Or if you're willing to work twice as hard, about 3,000 hours, it might take you 3.5 years. That's usually how long it takes to build a platform and become a best-selling author. Shortest, best case. Like Tim Ferriss, for example, took him a few years to do it, who wrote the 4-Hour Workweek. And now he's like a sensation. He still is. He's been living, he's been able to really leverage the heck out of that. But what you can do is serve, find a pain that everyone has, become an expert at curing that pain. Along the way, gather proof, show evidence that you've solved that problem, get testimonials, endorsements, write a book.
Yeah.
It's the best way to prove that you're an expert and authority. And I'll know for sure in the next 3 weeks here, but I've basically put together and written a book in about 8 weeks. Okay. I've got a writer working with me on it, and I basically wrote all the content. I gave him a structure to follow, but I'll have it done inside of 8 weeks. Not too bad. And what am I doing? I'm already planting the seeds with, offline old school publicity. I've been interviewing and talking to other, syndicated writers, building relationships with them, getting ready to bring this out, making some videos, speaking regularly. So, being able to create your book with your credibility, turn it into a product. Now you've got a back end, because you don't make money from a book. You make money from selling products and services that are replicable. Okay. So how long does it take to make that? You can make a product in 6 months. Okay. You can figure out how to sell it in another 6 months. So realistically, I believe someone can come from nowhere, hone some skills, become a reasonable expert, and build their back end, their funnel, so to speak, inside of about 3 years. Could you do it faster? Here's how I do it. Find a topic that you want to be an expert on, identify the experts, and become a reporter.
Yeah.
Okay? Interview them. Help them sell their stuff using your expert product. And you could do that in about 6 months to a year, and have your name associated with the best and the brightest in an industry that has more opportunity. So could you do it in 6 months? I think you could. It'd be difficult, but it's possible. So again, the bottom line here is you're looking at 6 months to 6 years. And I think the best way, if you want self-respect and you want consistent earning, because I've seen people who've popped out of absolutely nowhere. They didn't earn their place. They did something. They basically came up as a reporter. But the fact of the matter is they didn't have a back-end system to consistently generate traffic and generate business. They weren't really an expert, and they weren't ready. It's like when you hear of someone who wins a lottery, for example, what usually happens to them within 1 year?
All that cash is gone.
Yeah, and the reason why is they're not ready. So the reason why you, meaning it's not you, but whoever might be listening right now, the reason why you're not a millionaire, or the reason why you're not rich and famous, is because you ain't ready and you ain't earned it yet. You don't have the skills and the resources and the tools in your arsenal, and you don't know what questions that people who are like that have yet. Okay? You have to find out. You have to find someone who can mentor you and teach you those skills so you're prepared to do it. A lot of people are just never ready for fame. They're never ready for fortune because they haven't built the resources, the relationships, the wealth building, and the wealth keeping resources to get there. Because when you're ready, it happens. It's not something you get. You get it because you've been giving, and you're giving the right things where the universe pays you back. And again, that might sound a little bit woo-woo and spiritual, but I've observed it, and I've proven it time and time again. And I hope this is useful. I know, like I say, it might be off on a wild-ass tangent here.